Yes, indeed. We're going to see you in August on WWNN and 95.3 FM. And we're spiritually speaking to all of you here live on WBZT and WWNN and 95.3. And everyone, we are counting down? I guess so. I guess I'll have to do Carol Burnett and say I'm so glad we had this time together, but I don't know if you heard. We're going to be moving from 6 to 8 p.m. starting in August. Very first week in August. I hope you're going to join me. It's been so wonderful to spend time and space with you here on WBZT, and I thank you all for following the show. So we're really not going anywhere. We're just not going to be right here. But I do want to talk about change, because sometimes change hits us like a tidal wave. Just imagine, here I am sitting there minding my business going, yay, we're so excited, we just had our 8-year anniversary, yay, go team, we did it, 8 years here on WBZT. What? You're changing the programming? Are you kidding me, guys? What? What am I going to tell my people? They're like, well, we're going to go to some kind of sports thing, and well, I don't see me fitting in there. Touchdown. That's about all I know, guys. They're like, we know, Sarah. So we're going to have to move you out. I went, what? Move me out? Have you ever been in a series of changes in your life and you feel like someone yanked the rug out from under you? Well, that's what I was feeling like. But I thought, well, we do have WWNN. Well, we did just go to 95.3 FM. Well, no big deal. We'll just change. But there are times in life when changes come upon us and we're not ready to make that adaptation. We can't really adjust and make that bend and that shift. And it becomes a challenge for us. Sometimes it's through a loss of a job or an end of a relationship, or other times it's we have to move for whatever reason. Maybe we can't stay where we live. The landlord says we're raising the rent. Get her out or pay. So what do? What do you do when life throws you a curveball? You know, earlier today my son was watching baseball. And I always love to see baseball. And I was watching the pitcher. And I was watching the thought. And I was watching the energy. And I was seeing the flow of the pitch when it left the hand. And you know I can call the pitch before it leaves his hand. You know that, right? Now, if I were whispering in the batter's ear, we'd all be good. But I was watching the pitch, and I thought to myself, well, sometimes things get changed up. There is a pitch, a change-up, right? And sometimes things just, they move their hand a little bit, and next thing you know, the ball goes out, and they're not getting what they expect on the plate. Well, life throws us things we don't always expect. And sometimes we don't know how to interpret what's coming at us. And then in that moment, in that second, when you have to make a decision, much like the batter at the plate, he's got to make a split-second decision whether he's going to swing or not. And he has to really take a look at that pitch as it's coming in and figure the best way to make contact. And then, in a split second, he's got to decide where he wants to hit that ball. Is he going to bunt? Is he going to hit it out to the right field, left field, center field? Where is he going with it? Well, we are often like that guy on home plate, standing there ready for the pitch, waiting for life to throw us something, and then choosing to interpret what it throws us. But life isn't like that all the time. But some of us live our lives that way. We're waiting to see what the universe is going to send our way. We're waiting to see what pitch comes in across the plate. We're waiting to see what's going to happen next. And we forget that we can collaborate. You see, in baseball, the batter is subject to whatever pitch the pitcher sends. And he only has so many pitches. Otherwise, he's either called out, he could get walked, he'll strike out, something's going to happen. But in life, we get a lot of pitches. We get a lot of opportunities to, well, get it right. There's no right or wrong. There's no really getting called out of the game. It's how do you want to play the game? How do you want to go around the bases? And what do the bases represent for you in your life? I know when we were teenagers, there was a story about going around the bases, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what's that first step that's important for you? When you get to first base, what's important? What is it that you want to create? Because once you make contact with that ball, once you make a decision and you hit the ball in a direction, you have another decision to make. And that's to run. And sometimes we make a decision and then we do nothing. And we wait for the universe to go, okay, this is what you do next. And that's where the fear creeps in. And why is it that we don't always do something? Because we're worried. We don't want to make the wrong choice. We don't want to get called out of the game. So what do? You put the ball in play and you begin to move. And as you begin to move, you realize that you're now in charge of the direction you're going. And I know that the coach is going to give you a signal. I know that. And I want you to look at your angels and your guides as your coach. Or perhaps a person who's a great mentor to you. And you say, where do I go here, coach? Do I keep running? And you look for the sign. You look for the clue that says, keep going. And every once in a while, a desire, a goal, a direction we're heading, we literally slide in and by the skin of our teeth, or maybe the touch of the hair or the fingernail, I touched the plate and I made it. And then we're there. And we score. We have an accomplishment. We have something that we wanted in our life. Something we always dreamed of. Something we pulled our way. Something we directed. And what happens is when we have change, sometimes change creates this flux of anxiety and fear, and we wonder, where am I going from here? I wasn't expecting a change. Well, who of us are expecting a change? Sometimes we make changes in our life. Like I remember when I decided I was going to move here to South Florida. First reaction from people, we'll call them my teammates, they were like, what? What are you going there for? But I thought, well, why not? And so I put my foot upon a path, and everything changed, because I changed the direction I was going. I made a choice. And we all make choices. And when we focus our energy on the intention, so all of my intention was focused on coming here, doing something different, stepping out of the box, right? We have to step out of the box sometimes. And in my world, so I thought, wow, I'm only going to be changing where I live. I'm going to still have my job. Everything's going to be fine. Well, it didn't work out that way. But in my mind, I felt safe only changing one aspect. And most of us feel that way. We feel as if we change one aspect of life, we'll feel better. But sometimes we choose to change one thing that really wasn't the issue or the problem or the hiccup in our lack of fulfillment. So, for me, the real hiccup was the work I was doing. The job. I thought if I changed the scenery to sunshine and palm trees as opposed to some of the dreary skies of New Jersey, that I would feel happier. And yes, the sun is wonderful. And it really invigorates me. And I love the energy of South Florida. But I still had to keep doing my work. And what I realized in my job is that it was just a job. At the end of the day, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. It was a means to the end. It was what I needed to do to keep going. And sometimes that's the choice. And sometimes, when we're not happy with work, that's the day that you get fired. In my case, they couldn't fire me because I was producing. In my case, I had an opportunity to move here, and I was okay, everything was fine, but then I fell. and I couldn't produce the way I was. And you know, in sales, you're only as good as your last sale. So suddenly my name was not being talked about in a favorable manner. But I couldn't get on a plane. I couldn't get out of the bed. So we had to part our ways. But that change was something that came, and I didn't plan for that change. I didn't plan to fall. I didn't plan for that change. I didn't plan to change my entire lifestyle. I didn't plan to be in a city, in a town where I knew no one, in a state where I knew no one. But there I was. Where have you been where you didn't know anyone, or you didn't feel supported, or you didn't feel that you had that connectivity with people, the support you needed? Maybe you didn't have family to say you can do it. Wherever you were, whatever the choice you made, whatever the change that was come upon you, whatever that is, change gives us an opportunity to grow, to expand. Think about it. If I never left WBZT, well, we'd all be fine, I know. And we'd all feel the same way from 7 to 9 p.m. But now we have opportunities to step out into the public a little more, to do things like go to juniors, and to share time and space with all of you in the physical. And I don't have to just be here in the room. I can go out more. And we can expand together our gifts, our experiences, and we can share the love. And I can share the experience with some of the other role models that have been instrumental in the expansion of the Expedito Enlightenment Center, my center. You see, not everything that happens that's unexpected has to be unpleasant. But yes, I know, when it comes by surprise, we're not happy. But something good comes out of everything if you allow it to. If you just get out of the fear, if you get out of the doubt, if you get out of the worry, if you just say, well, how is it going to work? I'm not sure. When is it going to work? What if it doesn't work? Holy crow! Then what do I do? Well, we've all been there, right? And when I look at the center, I didn't look at the center and say, wow, I don't know anybody in South Florida. I better not open a place. I didn't say that. I don't know why. And I say, thank God I didn't say that, because I would have never opened the center. How many things have you done in your life that you just did it, that you just felt like, wow, I'm going to do it? Just get in the car and go somewhere and visit someone. Or just go and make a choice and change a job, or say, I'm going back to school. And not really stop to think if it all makes a lot of sense. Some of our best choices, our best decisions, our best soul-directed experiences, they don't make any sense at all. It really didn't make sense why I packed up and came here to South Florida. There was no real reason, no rationale behind it. It just seemed like a good idea. And some of my friends will tell you, some of my good ideas are like, oh, hold on to your hat. She's got another good idea. Everyone hit the deck. But those good ideas, magical things happen. Because they come up within. And they prompt me. And I don't stop to worry about the fear. Believe me, it sets in a little later. But I've already put my foot on the path. So what am I going to do? Turn around and go back? Chances are no. I'm going to follow the yellow brick road. And I'm going to go to the land of Oz. And I'm going to see what I can see. And I'm going to expand by meeting new people. I'm going to expand by advancing my intelligence and opening my heart more. I'm going to learn how courageous I can be. This is what you can do. There's no change that comes upon you that is really as daunting as it appears. And even the changes that are wonderful, there's always that hesitation that, can I do it? You can do it. And you brought the change upon yourself. You called it forth to you. You said, this is the change I'm looking for. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is the change. It's the law of attraction. It's the laws of manifestation. And you bring it to you. And then we act surprised. Like, wow, how did this happen? You were talking about it for years. Maybe you didn't use the same words. Maybe it was a dream, like when you're a little girl. I have a beautiful little girl who came to visit me today at the studio. And she's a dancer. So her little girl dream can be her lifetime journey. She could be a famous dancer. And I got to share with her how another girl who just graduated college always had a dream to be a dancer. And now she's going to live her dream and tour with a famous salsa dancer and dance. Yes, she has her degree. Yes, she's got that old standby job that we need. Go to college, get a job. But she's going to live the expression of herself, the expression of her uniqueness. Just like this little girl who's come to see me here today. You see, we're all connected. We all have dreams. And each one of us has an opportunity to inspire the other to live their dream. So if someone comes to you with an idea, don't shoot them. Don't sit there and say, wow, that's not going to work. Let them. Let them envision. Perhaps their soul, perhaps their idea is being driven by something other than the intellectual, logical mind that we have. Perhaps there's something more going on, and it's not here in the mind, but it's here in the heart. The heart of you, the soul of you. What if they're being driven by the voice of God? And then they step into a room full of naysayers. Oh my God. And the naysayers are going, what are you going to do? How are you going to do that? How are you going to afford that? How is that going to work? I don't know. What's going to happen? Oh my God. And now the person who had no doubt and no fear, they hesitate. Think of the runner who hits the ball. If he wonders for even a fraction of a second, am I going to make it to first base? He's never going to make it home. Because he'll get called out by the time he gets to first base. You're out. Hesitation is doubt, fear, worry. Sometimes we do have to take a look at the big picture and reposition what we've created. And we all know that. There is some logical interaction that has to happen. There's some planning. There's some ideas that have to be put together. Well, that's part of the intellectual experience and the reason why we all have that cognitive ability. We all do. But the birthing of the idea comes from the soul. It comes from the breath of life and the creativity of the individual that allows them to express themselves. And each person is unique. So what changes have you endured? Has there been a change that has ruffled you or created a disconnect? Is there a change that perhaps your feeling has pushed you to the side and you don't know where you go from here? Are you at that proverbial fork in the road? I've been there. We've all been there. And what happens when you're in the fork of the road? You get to make a choice. And some of us, and we've all been guilty of this, stand right in the fork going, which way do I go? I don't know, but we got to think about it. And we think and we think and we ponder and we wonder. And what we don't realize is that because we haven't put our foot upon the path of change and chosen a direction, that whatever was going down on those two paths, we're missing that. And then we have to play catch up. And then there are changes that are at the effect of another. When someone makes a decision and it impacts your life, and it brings about a change. And it's not a change perhaps that you wanted. It's not a change that you were directing. Well, that's a change that's important as well. Because it gives you a new opportunity. It gives you a new chance to expand. It gives you a way of being. And it allows you to look inside of yourself and have courage. And we've had callers call in from all across the United States, and we've had Facebook people from outside of the country, and they've shared with me experiences in relationships or a loved one who's crossed over, and we weren't ready for that change. How can we ever be ready for those changes? But we have a way of learning to grow with those changes, whether we want to or not. It's a chance. And it gives us a chance to look at things differently. It gives us a chance to open new horizons for ourselves. And sometimes we realize that we weren't really where we wanted to be after all. Everything is an opportunity for growth, whatever the change. And some of them are uncomfortable. And there's no fairy dust in the world that anyone can sprinkle on them to make it less uncomfortable. But if you can ride the road of uncomfortability, you might get there. You might get to the destination with not too many bruises or scars or scrapes. You can get there. Even if it's just by the fingertip touching home plate, you can get there. You can get there and be one with the desire and score. Score in the next level of the dream of your life, whatever it is. There's no opportunity that is impossible. There's no business idea that can't be done. Sometimes we need to step back and let ideas come to us. Sometimes pushing our way through and making something happen in the way that we want, in the timeline that we want, isn't the right flow. But that doesn't mean we give up on the idea. That doesn't mean we throw our hands up and say, that's it, I'm done, it's not working. No. We realize that there's a series of happenings, and that if we allow some to flow through, and we don't try to control every aspect, well then, everything can come together. Change is an opportunity for growth. Change is an opportunity for you to realize who you are. And change can happen the minute you say, I choose to change. So if you're sitting there listening tonight, and you're saying, I'm stuck, I'm stagnant, I've been doing the same thing for the same amount of years, and I want to change, then we go to commercial break. Look up. Say to the universe, I choose to change. Universe, I choose to change. I want to change this scenario, this happening, and I've made this choice to change. And say goodbye to the past. Say goodbye to the past experiences. So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen. It's a time for change, and change allows you to grow.